So me and two friends of mine, fellow gang members, went into his cell to play cards with him. The plan was for his partner in Pinochle to lose on purpose to get him down to do push-ups. But when he got down to do his push-ups and I put my hand on his back and applied a little pressure, that was my excuse to get up next to him. At which time I put my arm around his throat, kind of choked him out a little bit to make him, kind of weak. But he wasn't dead yet because I wanted him to feel exactly what was going to happen to him. But I didn't want him to make a lot of noise because the CO is about 15 cells towards the front of the tier. So he could have heard me at any time. Another inmate passed me a razor shank. I sliced his throat repeatedly. Blood was everywhere. And then another inmate passed me a shank, probably about that long, with the handle on it. And I just started stabbing him. Stabbed him over 100 times. In the back, the sides, the neck. He was crying, telling me to stop, begging for me to stop. He was still alive through all of it. That was one of my favorite ones right there.
And some of you guys think I'm an asshole. Hope you never have to meet him. The United States has the largest number of incarcerated citizens in the entire world. In fact, I have a chart in front of you here tracking the number of incarcerated Americans from 1920 to 2006. In 1980, we had less than 500,000 incarcerated citizens. And from there, it has ramped up to almost 3 million. And this prison system, these prisons, they're like recruiting centers and factories, whatever you want to call it, indoctrination centers to make men like that. That guy in that video, he originally went into prison for grand theft auto. And now he's a monster. These men, it might as well be training centers for just pure sadistic killers. That's what the prison systems are. Okay, police, law enforcement. There are less than 500,000 law enforcement personnel across the United States. And not all of them are street officers. Understand that. Some are just, there for paperwork support or desk officers. But still, lump them all together, there's less than 500,000 law enforcement personnel across the United States that hold back guys like that in the video. They're the ones that every day stand between you and that guy. Less than 500,000. They're outnumbered 3 to 1 at least. And that's just the prison population. That doesn't count the gang populations in the United States, which are in the millions. And then just all the wackos, drug users, addicts, nutcases, rapists, maniacs. Those are the guys that maintain that line between you and them. Okay? And this is like a silent war that's going on every day around you that allows you to go to work and then go to Dairy Queen, stop by Burger King, and sleep at night with your doors unlocked. It's like a silent war that nobody is aware of. And it's an active war. It's really a war right now of a truce that's taking place. It's a truce because the gangs and the hardcore criminals, they're kind of contained. And I know a lot of you don't understand this because many of you just have never lived in a city. And I can tell by talking to you that you don't understand how these gangs and these hardcore criminals work. And these gangs are very organized. They even have rank. And they're better armed than you. They have more than shotguns and handguns. And they're contained. If you go to the south side of Chicago, if you go to the housing programs, when I was in Chicago, there was Cabrini Green. And it was a containment. The Gold Coast was just a few blocks away from Cabrini Green. And the Gold Coast is one of the uppity places in Chicago. And people could walk down the street with gold and fur coats, and you're watching Jaguars drive by, and then just a few blocks, there's Cabrini Green. and it's like a war zone. And see, it's kind of a deal that these hardcore criminal types and gang members make with the ongoing law enforcement. That if you stay in your area, you can rape and pillage your own people in that area. And we'll send you money in the form of welfare, and we'll support your children, and we'll support the housing. You don't have, we'll send you thousands a month if you just stay in there, in containment, you don't come out. And it's a good deal for these criminals and gang members because they have a free place to stay, they have free food, they can basically do whatever they want, and they make the law in that area as long as they stay in that area. Truly, it's not something, it's almost a voluntary thing for them. They like this lifestyle. You can go to LA and find the same thing. Same thing in Miami, New York, any large city is going to have this section. And it's a game, a dangerous game that law enforcement tries to maintain that line. And they're contained. And as long as we're sending them money and sending them food, they're going to be okay with that. Because in their mind, I think it was Milton that said this, if maybe this will help you understand better. He said it would be better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. And that's kind of these gang members and demonic hardcore criminals' minds. That is the way they think. They would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. And there's this material heaven sometimes just a few blocks away from this containment of hell. And these guys in blue across the United States, less than 1 million of them. I'm not saying there aren't bad police, because there's bad people everywhere, all right? I'm not going to argue that with you. But I'm telling you, these guys go out there, they meet these monsters every day and hold them back, contain them, so you and your children and your wife are safe, for the most part. They hold back this guy, all right, this Nazi. One of the largest gang in America is the Aryan race, the White Brothers. They're a very organized unit full of really, really bad guys. In fact, that guy in the original video, he is an Aryan brother. And these guys are well organized. They're well supplied. They have their own little economy, their rank system. They're national. You got the Latino gangs. Again, they're well organized. Lots of weaponry. Got their own economy. And they're contained for the most part. They rule their own hells in these cities. Same with the black gangs. They rule their own hells. They have their own economy. They're well armed, well organized, all across the United States. All right, when the SHTF hits the fan, okay, you pick it. The dollar drops, disappears. There's an EMP, there's a solar flare, there's a huge terror attack. The government collapses. All these things that we've been talking about, and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. You're not going to be facing Russian troops. In fact, it really worries me that some of you are so psycho about this, I think you're going to be shooting at everything. But these guys, this is going to be their dream come true. Okay? Because they hate you. They hate you. And they're contained right now. They're held back by this real thin line of guys that stand the wall every day and allow you to, go shopping and stuff. While these guys are going through factories called prisons that are training them, and they're getting bigger and stronger and more organized all the time, and there's more and more of them building all the time. And these guys are going to come out of their containment. This is what you're going to be facing. And let me tell you, these guys aren't going to care whether you're white or black or brown or all this other stuff. They're not going to care whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. This is going to be their greatest dream come true. And I guarantee you, it's a nightmare you've never dreamed of. Most of you just aren't thinking in this direction. But this is going to be what you're going to face. And they're very well organized. They even have a rank system. While the rest of you are putzing around because you haven't talked to your neighbors in over a year, and you're going to be hiding in your houses hoping these guys are just going to go around you. They're going to pour out of the cities once they've raped and killed and eaten everything that they can there. And now they're not going to have to fight over small areas of the city. Their turf is going to be everywhere around them. These guys aren't out of shape. They're training every day to be a demonic badass. They're not on YouTube. They're training with each other, organizing. They're already there. Some of them have already killed someone, some with their bare hands. They're not wondering whether they're going to be able to take it or not.